Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of The Mind of Marie. This evening, I'm going to talk about an age-old controversial topic. Why is questioning God so often viewed as a bad thing? There is this belief that seems to span worldwide that questioning faith is negative, even sinful, depending on the faith you subscribe to. This deeply rooted in the concept of absolute trust and the structural foundations of many traditional religions. But before we can dissect that, we need to look at what the value of absolute faith or trust stems from. First, in many religions, the concept of God is presented as an all knowing or omniscient, omnipotent, all powerful, and benevolent, meaning all good. So, if an entity is posed as being all of these things, then to question them might imply that a person has doubt about God's character. This suggests that God might be erroneous or wrong, or therefore could be unjust or incapable of handling a situation. Many people will frame this as a disrespect or lack of confidence in divine authority. Then comes the idea of failure of will. And then questioning can sometimes be seen as a surrender to intellectual pride or leaning on one's own understanding and human weakness due to believing that one's limited understanding of the world is superior to God's infinite wisdom. From there, many will move on to offer the ideal of the slippery slope, where religious leaders will warn that a single question could open the door to complete loss of faith and a grand apostasy. Doubt then becomes a tool posed to emphasize dangerous, destructive forces that will lead one astray from the path of salvation. This is where the role of community and authority begins to bleed into the social construct and collective morality surrounding those topics. Religious systems rely on cohesive shared beliefs in order to thrive. So, questioning their foundational truth is often perceived as a threat that could lead to disruption and the challenges of established authority given to religious leaders, scripture, and traditions. Questioners can then influence others and lead to destabilization of those structures. This opens the door to accusations of heresy and hypocrisy because historically, questioning accepted dogma indicated a person was not obeying the governing body of their religion. This could lead to ostracization or even persecution, as is evidenced by the Spanish Inquisition and the witch trials. The goal of the community, therefore, is often to maintain uniformity to these structures and beliefs. Yet the towering edifice of uniformity and absolute trust began to crumble for me, not through a grand intellectual rebellion, but through a quiet, persistent whisper of, but why? It was a logical inconsistency, not a tragedy, but the simple inability to reconcile the concept of an all powerful, benevolent God with the specific, painful details of human suffering I saw in the world. This initial seed of doubt instantly ignited an internal conflict that felt like a breach of contract and a violation of the unspoken rule, thou shalt not doubt. The weight of that judgment felt immense. I became convinced I was a failure of will, disappointing not only my community and family, but the divine authority itself. I grappled with genuine fear and guilt, constantly looking over my shoulder, terrified of stepping onto the slippery slope religious leaders warned about. It was only much later, after painful soul searching, that I began to reframe this crisis. I came to the crucial realization that doubt wasn't the antithesis of faith, but its forge. My questioning wasn't a rejection, it was a desperate, messy attempt at a deeper connection, a process of refinement that separated inherited dogma from personally verified truth. I feel, therefore, that to doubt and to question only brought me further into my understanding of my own spiritual convictions and seeking peace and wholeness as a person in pursuit of a happier, more fulfilling existence in my life. So, doubt and God can actually be both healing and unifying, and for some of us, it can lead us right back to the greatest spiritual enrichment that we've ever had.